Hey there, welcome. Today we have a guest, and our guest is Salvador Aguilar. Hey, welcome, Sal.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great. And Sal, before we start talking, before we start chatting here, can you let our audience know the subject matter you teach, and also not only the subject matter, but also the age group, like what level?
Okay, so currently I'm teaching world history. So I'm teaching 10th graders in that class. Uh, US history, I'm teaching 11th graders in that class. And I have some seniors both in my world history and US history. So I'm
Really?
teaching 10th, 11th, 12th graders. Yep.
Nice. Very good. And so, Salvador, you know, for our audience, you are a former student of mine.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I've known you for 8 or 9 years now.
Like
And
12, I think.
has it been that long, Sal? Thanks
Yeah.
for I was only like 20 when I met you, so I'm only no, but yeah. So I've known you for about 12 years, and so you've gone through the process, and this is your first semester teaching. And we haven't done this before. We wanted to talk to a first year teacher finishing his first or her first semester. And I thought of you because I knew you were starting to working this semester. You
Yep.
were my student teacher last year, and you did a great job. And so, can you actually just right off, what if you were to say like one word for this year? I know I hadn't shared this with you before, but if you could think of one word, Sal, that would best describe this year so far, what word would you use to describe this year so far?
In one word, let's see. I would probably have to say um, experience. Definitely. Just gaining that experience. That's all I can say on that.
Oh, that's great.
So you are walking in to an experiment. I'm hearing experience, but it's also in a way an experiment because it's the year after the pandemic, at least at the year after what we went through in terms of online learning. So is it a little bit uncomfortable um, in the sense that you are coming in and just feeling it out, and students, I don't know what it's like with you, but I'm assuming it's similar to my experience in that a lot of students are gone. They take 2 weeks off because they're on COVID, you know, that whole quarantine, and they'll come back and shuffling in and out. What's it like?
It's definitely really different. As Mr. Aguilar said, I was his student teacher, and I did my student teaching on through Zoom. So this is like I want to say maybe my first teaching experience, complete teaching experience, right, in person. So I have noticed as well. Students are kind of gone about maybe every 2 weeks or so. I'll get something in my mailbox that says the student's going on independent study, right, and I have to fill that out and turn it into the counselor so the student doesn't get left behind. But yeah, I deal with that same issue as well.
Now, now looking at that, because last year you were in my class, and I think you had two classes that you were. No, was it two or three classes? I think it was two, wasn't it, that you were teaching?
Yeah,
And
one econ and two social classes. Yeah.
oh, so three classes, yeah. So while you were doing distant learning, as you remember, we did a lot of applications. We had different. Now this year, as you're in person, have you been able to use any of that, or is it just straight, face to face, and you're doing more lecture? Or how's that work with you this year for your first semester?
Okay, definitely. I still try to use applications, except the school district where I'm at, they're using Canvas. So it's a lot different than what was that?
No, no, I never heard. You said
Can you repeat
Canvas.
that?
Canvas. Yeah, they're using the
Canvas.
system
Canvas.
Canvas. LAUSD used a Schoology, right? So I got used to using Schoology, and I thought it was a really simple system to use, really simple for me to use. But when I did the switch to Canvas, that was a whole nother experience. Um, it's a lot nicer looking, but you do have to mess around with it in order to know how to use it. But I still use Kahoot. Definitely, the students always appreciate that. Anytime you
They love the Kahoot.
anytime you gamify the content, they always enjoy that. I still use Edpuzzle, definitely one that I still use. I still use the Menti that I know we did a couple Mentis.
Oh, those are fun. Those are fun.
And Pear Deck. More I use more Pear Deck than just straight lecture. Interactive lessons, right? PowerPoints, and I embed questions, multiple choice, free response. Herdeck has this really cool feature where students can draw. Sometimes I'll, like, if we're looking at a map, I'll have them, okay, let's say we just covered World War I, right? Let's identify the Allied powers in blue, right, and the Central powers in red, so we have an understanding geographically where these countries are and things like that. So that's a really cool feature.
Oh wow!
But yeah, I still use a lot of those apps.
Oh, that's good.
I have a question, Sal, for you about your choice in subject.
Okay.
What inspired you to go into this social studies, world history, U.S. history?
Okay, that's a great question. Actually, I didn't know what I wanted to do like after high school, but I always felt like, well, I guess if I were to say, like, if I applied myself a little more in high school, I could have done like a lot better, well, like GPA wise. But
Sal, that's all of us.
yeah. So I always found myself doing really good in history, especially in world history. 10th grade, that's when I had Mr. Aguilar. I think he told me one time that when we still used to do the CSTs, that I only missed one question on the CST.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that.
He told me that I did better than his honor students, and that just kind of like, oh yeah, I guess I'm pretty good at this history thing, and paying attention a bit. Well, not paying attention a bit more. I've always had an interest in history, but yeah, that's what kind of made, maybe I want to be a history teacher. That seems like something I would like to do, and I followed that career path.
Oh, that's great. It's a great subject, but I'm very biased, as you know. And looking at this year, though, so far, Sal, you talked about, we talked a little bit about the distant learning from last year, and then you're at a new district, right?
Yep.
What has been the biggest challenge so far? I mean, as a new teacher, I would think there's a lot of challenges, but
Yeah.
can you tell us at least one thing that you say, wow, this has been different?
Okay, so I have a couple, but yeah, but I guess if I were to pick just one, it would.
Wow, you don't have to pick one. You can tell us both.
Okay, I can tell you a couple, but yeah, I have a couple, but I guess I'll just limit to like about three. But the first one would be I started late. I started 3 weeks into the semester. That's when I got hired because I started off as a substitute, and I was subbing for independent study. And another substitute told me that they were looking for a social science teacher at the school where I'm working at. I called, and that I was interested in the position. They knew I was subbing there already. I got an interview that same day, so that was kind of stressful knowing that after when I finished subbing, that I was gonna have an interview. Interview went great, and they told me I could start working on Monday. But I was three weeks I guess late, you can say. And after that, well, I focused 1 week just to community building because I didn't want to just go straight into lecturing, because I think that's a really big part of education, getting to know your students, right, and building those relationships built on mutual respect and just getting to know them, because I think students respond more when they feel like you care about them, right, and because you do, right, as teachers we do. But that was
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the big thing, because now I'm like a month behind everyone else. It always feels stressful. I'm trying to figure out how to say, oh, you know what, this is important, but not as important as this subject, and I might have to drop some information. And that's just been, I would say, the toughest part, starting late.
I bet.
Another challenge that I think most teachers would agree, is getting my students to participate in classroom discussions. Because when we were on Zoom learning, like sometimes we ask questions and everything was through the chat box. Yeah. And you had like 2-3 brave students that would go on the mic, right, and actually participate. But now, like, sometimes I'll try to have a class discussion and I just get critical, and then I have to do a more guiding questions after guiding questions until I'll have 2 students kind of speak, and then it just becomes a snowball effect. But yeah, it's like a good 2 minutes where I'm just trying to get everyone to speak.
When you ask, did you say you get crickets?
Yeah.
when you ask a question and you get crickets, how do you feel inside?
That's a good question. At first, I would get kind of nervous when the first couple of times it would happen, because I'm like, okay, what do I do? Is it that they're just not? Is it that they're not paying attention? Maybe it's just that they don't respect me as an educator, right? Or you start thinking these things, right? And I guess that's why I get nervous. But then I think to myself, okay, as it kind of happened, I need to ask more guiding questions, right? Until one guiding question hits, and then, like I said, it becomes a snowball. Then I bring it back to the original question, and we have that discussion.
Great. Now, I don't often give advice on this channel. I usually just ask questions. But since you're a first-year teacher, let me just say, Sal, that don't interpret. I would encourage you not to interpret silence as, "Oh my gosh, I'm bombing."
Yeah.
It's not always that. Sometimes it's just they're processing. They're just thinking about what you're saying, and you might be asking the best question, and it's challenging to them. But sometimes embrace that awkward silence, and they will say something. But I just want to throw that out there.
And I appreciate any and all advice I get. Honestly, I like if you have any advice as this goes along, I would appreciate that.
Sometimes I even joke. I'll throw a question out there, Sal, and I've been at this for many years. And there's a silence, and then I'll turn to my TA and I'll say, my para, and I'll say, awkward silence. What should I do? Students are just staring at me because of my dumb question.
Yeah.
And I'll make it a joke, and I'll just sit there for a few more moments because I think the question's okay. It's just they're just processing it, or maybe it is a dumb question, but hey, it's a Monday morning. What do you want from me?
Yeah.
And it's okay to have that sometimes. It's everybody has those. I mean, I have it. I still have it. And then you were in my room. You saw it sometimes things didn't work. But
no, I'm going to interrupt Jake's question. I'm going to ask this of Sal. Sal, what kind of a teacher was Mr. Aguilar?
No, that's not right.
I'll ask it anyway.
There are even a couple people watching this.
Even if it's an awkward silence,
I'm going to edit this.
That's fine. So Sal, what kind of a teacher was Mr. Aguilar?
Lie.
I lie. Okay. He was I don't know how to say what kind of teacher he was, but if I were to just describe it, I would say I would think Mr. Aguilar is a great teacher. Getting to know students, I feel like that we created a good relationship when he was my teacher when I was in high school. He was a great teacher. His style is a bit more I don't know if the right words for it is like a bit more goofy, right? But he just kind of has that personality, right? It goes with very well.
I thought you were gonna say sarcastic.
Oh, no. Maybe there was some sarcasm there that I didn't get when I was younger, but yeah, it was like I would say if I were to compare him to somebody, I would compare him to maybe someone like Jack Black. Yeah,
because he is gordo, like me.
I was gonna say, are you talking about his weight or his...
No, and his style and just his personality.
Oh wow. Nice. But it's funny though that you're sharing that regarding humor, because I feel like I've always laughed at you, but you have a real dry. Maybe that's why I'm drawn to you in one way. One of the many ways, but reasons I should say, not ways. But that you enjoy to laugh, you enjoy joking around and having a good time. And I think as time goes on, I think I'm going to see that more. I saw that starting a little bit last year with the kids. And I'm not in your class this semester. I'm sure you're feeling a little bit more free. Like, this is my room, right? This is my class.
Yeah, so definitely I do like joking. But see, most people would say that I'm extremely serious. But it's like I like joking around with people that actually build a relationship with. Right? I don't just go around joking with everybody, right? So I that's why I think that was one of your better qualities of building relationships. Because I don't think I would have been joking. I probably would have just been sitting there like giving you cricket noises in class if I just felt no real connection there, right? Between the student and teacher. Yeah.
Now, going back to this year, Sal, regarding being a new teacher, how about the staff and administrators? Have people at the school gone out of their way to bring you in to make you feel, what kind of support are you getting there?
I'm getting tons and tons of support, honestly.
Oh, good.
The district I work in, it's only 3 high schools. So I would say the environment's very, very welcoming. The principal actually took a good 2 hours, 3 hours every day for my first day to just show me around campus, show me any places that I might need to, access, like resource centers, things like that. But apart from that, also the social science department, they provided me with curriculum because I was starting late, right? They provided me with curriculum. They provided me with materials. So I didn't have to come up with a lot of the stuff like on the fly, right? Okay, let me see. I gotta create something, right? So they did provide me with material, so that I feel like alleviated a lot of my stress. But I had a lot of help from the course leads, right? Also, the school has a a social science instructional coach that has helped me a lot. Gives me different ways to deliver the content. He's mostly like, I think there's only been one time where I wanted to meet with him and he wasn't available, but he's always available. I remember those first 4 weeks I was going to like his office every day, just kind of figure things out. So that was really helpful. There was Monday after our faculty meetings, we had department meetings, and in the meetings there was a lot of things about a lot of teaching reflection, right? Maybe discussing other issues that teachers have. Although, like I said, everyone in the department struggling to get students to talk, actually speak out, right, in the class. But and it's always nice knowing that you're not the only one that's going through that. Um, and then also just kind of morale boosting things, right? Sharing our best practices. So again, a lot of ideas from other, more seasoned educators, right? So that's great. And my principal, she's very direct what she wants, so that's great. She actually evaluated me this semester. She made the process seem very not easy, but she explained the whole process to me, so I didn't go in so stressed. So that was great as well. I can't really complain about the part. I've gotten so much.
Now, Sal, do you have a mentor and a book recommendation, whether it be teaching practices or history interests?
Okay, so let's see. If I were to say maybe a book recommendation, it would probably be let me, let's see. That's a good question. Um, I don't remember the title, but it was the book that was assigned to me when I was taking my classroom management course, because it gave a lot of practices on teaching how to, and I think, and I read in that book, right, that the reason a lot of first year teachers quit is because they have trouble with classroom management.
Yes.
So I luckily I don't have that issue with my students, but yeah, so that, and I could send the title of the book to you later. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, that's fine. But I
sorry,
mean,
I don't remember. I had an electronic form. That's
yeah, and I think those books are so valuable. We just had a guest, Mr. James, Paul James, recently, and he talked about a classroom management book that he had, and boy, those are so valuable, especially when you first start teaching. Because I know for me, I wanted to quit my first year teaching middle school. I'm like, this is nuts. And then I said, wait a minute, let me work on this classroom management piece. And once you do that, man, it as you know, it just changes. It makes your life so much easier. So, but we're talking about a mentor. Is there like a piece of advice that someone's given you that that you've really been able to hold on to?
I have 3 pieces of advice that were given to me, and the first one was by Jacob. Right, I find it weird saying Jacob. I just want to say Mr. Aguilar all the time.
Just don't say captain, because Ruben will get angry.
Oh, I I still call you captain and capitan as well.
No, I don't. I won't get angry. I'll just laugh at my brother for pretending to be
More than I am.
Go on. So.
Yeah. So Mr. Aguilar once told me, don't be too hard on yourself, because you just get better at this, right? As time goes on. So that was because I remember we talked about this in those times where we just talk after class, that right away, as soon as the class would end, I would tell you, I did this wrong, I did that wrong, I did all of these things wrong. And you would just say, just try not to be too hard on yourself, because with time you do get better. Then you told me how you, like, if you reflected on your first year teaching and how you teach now, you're like, wow, I did a pretty bad first year, right? So then I was just, okay, so that made me feel good, right? So another piece of advice that was given to me was because I'm co-teaching one class with another teacher, and he just told me, don't burn yourself out, because I know that was, I kind of feel like I was burning myself out, because like I said, I wanted to figure out everything like all at once, how to use Canvas, to plan out my whole year, right, and all these things, and I felt like I might have burned myself out, but that was a good piece of advice to just keep in mind. And the final one was one from one of my college professors. It was for my senior seminar in history, which one time the professor told us, don't suffer in silence, and always try to reach out for people if you need help. Because I'm that type of person who doesn't like asking for help, especially when it comes to like my work and stuff. So that's why I try to remember that.
Yeah.
Everyone needs help from time to
So
time.
true. I'm about to give a gift to a teacher who actually started at my school after I did. Like, I'm a little bit embarrassed that I asked him for help. He's a genius with tech issues and with just procedures at the school, which is weird because I I started years before him, but he always had, somebody who just always has the answer. He's somebody who just always has the answer, and um, I love that he loves to help. So it just reminds me that I want to be there for others. I want to be the guy who doesn't go "Ugh," or reveals in my face,
Yeah.
I'm busy, not my friend at my work. So I really like what you're saying. Always be willing to ask because there's somebody who will be open to that.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know what, Sal, over at Auburn, what do you like about, I mean, because, we have a lot of people wanting to retire right now. I'm not sure, they're getting older
Yeah.
or they just want out of education.
Yep.
A lot of changes right now, COVID, all that. What would you say, what do you like about teaching? I mean, this first semester is done and you are a teacher. What
Yeah.
do you like about it?
Probably the best thing is building those relationships with students, right? And then seeing them, progress in your class. That's always amazing. And like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with building a great classroom culture, right? Where the students feel safe, they feel respected as students, right? And that you truly want to see them succeed, right? So I guess building those student relationships is the best part of teaching, but also this, I think, like, and it's tied up there, right? Is when students have that light bulb moment, when you explain something and then you just see them, their eyes light up, and it's like, and you're like, oh yes, they understood what I was trying to get them to understand. And just those little moments, feel real good, and they make my day, honestly, for like the rest of the day.
When you say build classroom culture, Sal, is there something in particular that you do that builds that culture?
Yeah, I like to do a lot of games because I know students like doing games. So like when I first started, we did we played a well, at first I had students fill out a survey, right? Kind of just that. And then I had students fill out a flashcard with details about them. Then I got those flashcards back and we had to guess, who was the person who wrote that flashcard. And then the whole class gets really excited to try guessing, right? And then when they can't guess right, then they start getting more into it, into things like that. Or I embed like into my Pear Decks, these things like little brain breaks where I'll just have, certain slides that don't deal with any of the content, but it's just kind of to wake them up just in case I might have lost them. Like I think one time it's like, oh, what's your favorite Halloween candy? And then they choose, or like, who has the best fries? Is it McDonald's? And then students start they answer the Pear Deck, but then they start doing their opinions, right? And I feel like yeah, and
right on one track
Oh.
mind, French fries.
Oh,
No.
I so disagree.
What?
Okay, well, let's ask that question. Let's start with our guest, Sal.
You better
we'll go
answer
with the
right.
with the wrong answer with Jacob.
No.
Then I'll give Sal. Who has the best French fries?
McDonald's. They just bring nostalgia to me. Like as a child, I really like those McDonald's fries. I don't like McDonald's food. I like McDonald's fries.
We could already finish the game. Sal and Ruben are right. We picked McDonald's.
Can I just say
In-N-Out has terrible French fries.
Listen, you're
they have
bullying
great
me.
burgers, but the French fries are really bad.
No, you're bullying. Listen, In-N-Out's number one. McDonald's, I would say McDonald's is number two. I don't know about those French fries in In-N-Out. I think about them sometimes, Ruben. Maybe I think about them too much. That's the problem. But anyway, yeah. I guess I lost. I lost here. Is that what you're saying, Ruben?
I agree with you, Sal. McDonald's French fries wins hands down.
All right. Salvador, going back to the education for a moment.
Yeah.
Now we got to talk about best burger.
Best burger.
And I do stuff like that, right? And like as you saw, you guys engage with it, right? And then they feel safe to share their opinions and things like that.
And that builds it. Yeah. I mean, at our school, I've been talking to some people about regarding the whole, the mental health still, and that classroom culture doing those things really gets kids and we're talking about connection. And if you don't have that connection, you just know when you're connecting, when you're not. Every so often, there's one class I have, I'm like, man, I just feel like I'm so disconnected from them. And I just try things all the time. And sometimes just different groups of kids are just that way, right? It's just more difficult. And
do you wonder though, like when you say you're disconnected from them and you keep working at it, do you ever want, do you wonder though that maybe they don't perceive that? Maybe they perceive, man, this is my favorite class.
Possibly. Once in a while, I'll hear that from a kid. They go, "Oh, it's my favorite." I go, "What? This class is like so. Why do they like this class?" So they don't seem very happy. But you're right, Ruben. You don't know because just because they're not verbally saying, I love it."
Yeah.
They know like I'd rather be here than my English class or whatever.
Sal, Susanna, we've had her on a few times, and David Dorff, all three of them, what do they have in common? They all mentioned the survey, the ever important survey that I always forget, and they've reminded me. And surveys are so important to just get a temperature of your students and find out, what do you think? Dave Dorff brought up, how do I improve this class, which is a scary question, or what do you think of this class? But I agree, Sal, to ask your students questions about themselves, their personal life, what do they like, part of the classroom culture. It's a good reminder. For sure. Now, Salvador, we're in December, and this is usually the time. Not only that I'm thinking about tamales, but I'm also thinking about next semester because I reflect on things I want to do better next semester, especially because you always have different groups of kids, as you know, Sal. And so I'm thinking next semester I got to do, because I'm thinking about even the homework, because we're changing how we do homework. Yeah. And so I'm thinking I got to do this different. Have you been able to process something that you want to do maybe better next semester?
Oh, definitely. I'm already thinking about that too. First things first, I want to diversify my pedagogies a bit more, right? Like I do the pair deck, right? We do primary source analysis because that's a big thing in history, right? And we mostly pair decks, primary source analysis, and close reads, right? But I want to do more, right? Maybe do more things like there's a thing gallery walks, right? Do more things like that. Get the students moving apart from just being at their desk, right? Get them moving, make it more interactive. Like I mentioned, we just covered World War One, and one of my warm-up activities was like having students capture the flag, but in the sense of trench warfare, right? Because the desks are already in rows, so that's pretty easy. And I put a flag in the middle. I tell them you can only advance one trench at a time. And while you're advancing, the other students have to throw like little paper balls. And if they get hit, it's like they die, right? And whoever got whoever was able to capture the flag, got extra credit, right? Students love extra credit. But they were really into it. They were having fun. They like, we need to run this back another 2 times because that's not fair. They had an unfair advantage. And I was like, okay, we'll do it. But then the biggest thing I told them at the end, what does this tell you about trench warfare? He's like, that nothing really happens. Yeah, because you guys are stuck in the trenches, right? How long did it take for you to actually capture that flag? And it's just, and then I bring it back to the content, right? And like I said, it looked like they enjoyed actually getting out of their seats and moving around in the classroom.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, I think that whenever we have a chance to get them out of the seats is so much. I mean, we learn about kinetic learning, and there's, we learn so many different ways, and we all do. We all enjoy doing all this, getting up and looking, especially those gallery walks. That's fun. Mm-hmm. Now, Sal, as we're winding down this interview, I wanted to share with you, what do you think? I mean, this next semester, what do you foresee as in this whole COVID situation? Do you see the kids? How do you see them transitioning? Are they doing well? I know that we just found out in our district that students who are unvaccinated can actually stay with our district. They were going to be sent out, but now they're going to be able to stay in and get tested. Have your kids been okay with the mask? I know for me, it's difficult to hear them sometimes with a mask on their face. Has that been?
For the most part, my district didn't put any vaccine mandates. Not that I know of, because
really?
Not that I know of, because so I think I fall off the faculty email list. Like I get back on, that's one thing that's hard, right? Because I want to be in the loop with what's going on in the school, right? But I don't always get those emails on time. But like from what I know, I don't think there was a vaccine mandate, but students pretty much, they wear their masks. I have a couple, right, that they like taking it off. I guess around, please put your mask back on, right? But other than that, I don't think
they're pretty good with it. They're pretty good with the mask.
Yeah.
Can you hear them though? Because sometimes maybe because I'm getting old, Sal, I can't hear very well. But
yeah, for the most part.
you have good hearing.
Yeah, so no, I don't. A lot of playing a lot of instruments, right, really messes with your hearing. But no. Sometimes I think, is it the mask or is it the student just talking in a low volume?
I'll give you my opinion. It's clearly students in general don't speak. Most of
Yeah.
the students don't. You don't hear them, but the mass definitely makes a difference.
Yeah.
I notice I have to keep asking compared to past years. Like, please speak up. Already, you don't speak loud, but with a
Yeah.
mask over your face, forget it. Yeah, but it's you know, you just have to deal with that. Hopefully, things change soon.
And yeah, sometimes I get conscious too. So like maybe my voice is getting a little muffled, so maybe I speak louder than I normally would, right? But yeah, I can see that.
You know what? That being that's it. It's just tough being a teacher at this time, and you are a first year teacher, first semester, doing your best. And you know what? I just want to tell you, we appreciate you being here. We thank you for being here, and
Wow.
we wish you luck for this next semester. And I know you're going to be in this gig as long as you want to be, because I've seen you, and you know what? I'm really proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Good work, Sal, and my hat's off to you. That you, it's difficult to teach. Teaching right now, first year, that's big. Good luck to you, and you know, God bless.
Thank you very much.
And that's it, you guys. Thank you again, Sal, for being here. Ruben, we will catch you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.